Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Undergraduate Pilot Training Graduation Ceremony for Class 2506. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Scott Meskimen, Commander, 33rd Flying Training Squadron, training students in the mighty T-6 Texan.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Eric Pounds, Commander, 71st Student Squadron.
Today's ceremony is a once-in-a-lifetime event. We encourage you to come forward and take pictures or videos when your loved one is presented with an award or their wings. For your planning purposes, the wings are presented by rank and then alphabetical order.
Please stand for the entrance of the official party and remain standing for the national anthems of Saudi Arabia and the United States, followed by the invocation given by Chaplain Christopher Gilmore.
As I pray in my tradition, I would invite you to pray in yours, or you may simply observe a moment of silence. Let's pray. Dear Lord, I am personally very grateful for the immense privilege it is to come before you now. I'm here before you today, along with so many here, to celebrate the hard work and dedication of these graduates. Thank you, God, that they are joined not only by their fellow pilots, but family members and friends. And thank you that by your great and mighty hand you have kept them safe up until this point. Today, in this moment, as we reflect on and celebrate this milestone, I ask that you would give them clear minds to recall all the loved ones, fellow students, instructors, and commanders who helped them get here. Please remind them that this journey is not one that they traveled alone. And I do ask, and that in your amazing and divine providence, you would empower these pilots to be some of the greatest leaders that the Air Force and its allies have ever seen. Use them to lead in their upcoming classes and in their careers, so that we are better equipped to engage the threats that we face as a nation. Remind them, however, Lord God, that they are part of a team, that they are part of something with a global impact and are surrounded by other officers and enlisted personnel who are the backbone of our force. Help them to be the kind of officers that lead by example, not only in their professional lives, but in their personal lives. In their personal lives, God, I ask that you help them to strive to be the kind of person that is continually contributing to a healthy home and not making that a secondary practice. Help them to be truly present when they're with their loved ones, even when the mission is always on their minds. Help them to aim towards finding a healthy balance of being an excellent officer and a father or mother, a husband or a wife, a brother or a sister. Thank you, God, for the great privilege of being able to come to you here now and celebrate with them. Thank you, God, for who you have made them to be. I pray these things in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Gilmore. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Today, 23 officers will receive their wings. On behalf of Colonel Charles Throckmorton IV, Commander 71st Flying Training Wing, I would like to welcome the families and friends of Class 2506, as well as several members of Team Vance, including squadron commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, spouses, and our ASRC and Amentum contractors.
We are honored to have the following guests from our civil and wing leadership here to support the graduates. The Mayor, City of Enid, the Honorable David Mason. The Commander, 71st Flying Training Wing, Colonel Charles Throckmorton IV, and his wife, Brooke. The Command Chief, 71st Flying Training Wing, Chief Master Sergeant Harvey McReynolds Jr., and his special guest, Airman of the Month from the 71st Medical Group, Airman First Class Michael Robertson. The Commander, 71st Operations Group, Colonel Eric Bissonette, and his wife, Biz. The Commander, 71st Mission Support Group, Colonel Nikitha Little. The Senior Enlisted Leader, 71st Mission Support Group, Chief Master Sergeant Adam Barakloff. The Commander, 71st Medical Group, Colonel John DeLamba, and his wife, Dr. Elena DeLamba. The Senior Enlisted Leader, 71st Medical Group, Chief Master Sergeant James Pickren. We are also honored to have the following distinguished visitors as special guests of Class 2506. Please stand or wave your hand to be recognized. On behalf of Second Lieutenant Brandon A. Gavino, Colonel Amando Gavino, United States Air Force retired, and his wife, Mira.
We would also like to give a warm welcome to our guest speaker, Colonel Abigail Kent, Deputy Commander, 914th Air Refueling Wing. And the Deputy Commander, 71st Flying Training Wing, Colonel Carl Miller III. Ladies and gentlemen, Colonel Miller.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to graduation day. It's cold. And I don't think it's just Oklahoma cold. Like, it's legitimately cold. When I flew yesterday morning, the crew chief looked at me and said, I don't remember it ever being this cold here in a long time. So for those visiting, like, this is the real deal. It's pretty cold. Welcome to Vance Air Force Base, and welcome to Enid, America. Today is an incredible day in the lives of these new aviators as we recognize Undergraduate Pilot Training Class 2506. To all my brothers and sisters from across Team Vance, welcome to today's ceremony. As you know, this day would not be possible without the efforts of your airmen. Chaplain Gilmore, thank you so much for that wonderful invocation. I listened very carefully to the words you chose today, and thank you for the time and effort you take into putting those words for us. It means a lot. Thank you very much. I'd also like to welcome all of our fellow service members, all the veterans that are here with us today. You are an example to those that have served before you and we are tremendously honored to have you here. Your presence means a lot, so thank you all very much. I see several folks in uniform that are from outside the Vance family, so thank you very much. Special Team Vance welcome to Mayor David Mason. Sir, as always, thank you. You're here. If you don't, Enid, America is one of the most patriotic cities in the entire country, and this mayor and his team from the city, they are with us every single step of the way. So I truly believe that together, Vance Air Force Base and Eden, Oklahoma, I think we could literally accomplish just about anything together. So thank you all so much for the support you constantly give us. Colonel Gavino, sir, welcome again. Thank you so much for being with us here today. Colonel Throckmorton, sir, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to preside over this graduation. Now, some of you might be sitting here looking, going, why is the deputy wing commander up there and the boss is sitting in the audience? That doesn't make sense. I will explain that here in a minute. I promise it'll make sense. I'm going to give a special shout out to Mr. Lance Taylor, our barber. He's the best barber in the world. I know he cuts a lot of your hair. He told me so, and he's super excited. I think this is his first graduation that he's come to. Lance, thanks for making us look sharp, man. I appreciate it. All right, to the real VIPs in the crowd today, the grandparents, moms, dads, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, spouses, children, fiancés, almost fiancés, girlfriends, best friends, all of you that are here with us today, thank you all so much for being here. You, the folks sitting in this middle section, in the back and on the sides here behind the class, you are what makes this moment in our lives so very special. You've literally built these human beings that are sitting in the front row that are about to graduate today. You've given them the principles, the moral compass, and most importantly, the work ethic to make it through a demanding program like undergraduate pilot training. Thank you so much for everything you have done to get them to this point and for sharing this great day with us. We genuinely appreciate you sharing your sons and daughters with us. I hope you understand and know how much we love them and how proud we are of them today. I want you to remember this is a special, once-in-a-lifetime event. And please, for the folks that are here visiting, this is your ceremony. I want you to take the time to be present, enjoy the moment, and take all the pictures you want. Seriously, when it comes time to take pictures, get down here and get the photographs that you want. And I'll tell you why. It's because if you look at my little speech binder that I always have, I have my pictures that my family and I took on this very day in this very auditorium 22 and a half years ago. So please, create those memories, take those pictures. To provide a little background and context, Vance is one of 4 Air Force bases in the United States Air Force whose primary mission is to conduct undergraduate pilot training. And it is an undisputed fact, as anybody at Team Vance will tell you, that we are the best of all the pilot training bases. And that's not an opinion, that is an absolute fact. Our mission is to deliver highly qualified aviators for follow-on training in a variety of aircraft for our Air Force and for our partner nations. Today we get to do that for Saudi Arabia. Vance Air Force Base has delivered nearly 38,000 world-class pilots since 1941, and that list includes 2 Medal of Honor recipients, a P-51 World War II ace, 7 astronauts, more than 200 general officers, including the 15th chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Richard Myers. Once upon a time, 2nd Lieutenant Miller flew General Myers into Baghdad, and that's probably when most of you were still in diapers. But nonetheless, he is a graduate from Vance Air Force Base. We also have 2 notable first assignment instructor pilots, General Ronald Fogelman, who was the Air Force Chief of Staff, and Colonel Eileen Collins, the very first female space shuttle commander. Class 2506, make no mistake, you are graduating on sacred ground here today. Air Force heroes have walked these halls and learned how to fly airplanes with VN on the tail for decades. And I know that you're going to follow in their footsteps and make everybody in this room Vance proud. Class in the seats next to you are fellow airmen and friends that you will have a special bond with for life. You've worked hard, and I hope you've had some fun along the way too. And now you've made it here to graduation day, and you are about to become pilots in the world's greatest Air Force. You've experienced the wonder of flight and understand what it means to master something that is truly difficult. But most importantly, I think that you now understand the support system that it takes to get you in the air goes well beyond yourself. It requires an entire team of people. Now, we're real close to the moment that I know you were waiting for anxiously, and I appreciate your patience. It's my favorite part of the job, boss's favorite part of the job, where you get to come up here and get your wings. But I just have a few additional things that I want you to consider before I turn it over to Colonel Kent. We expect you to be competent, credible combat aviators, while also never forgetting, the expectation that I need you to be competent, credible combat officers. You've learned a skill set, and you'll continue to get better at that skill set with each and every flight. I don't ever want you to lose your love for aviation, but I need you to remember that the charge ahead of you is to be the officer and the aviator that our nation requires of you. During your journey in the Air Force, your assignments will change, your aircraft that you fly will change, but leading people and taking care of your Air Force family, that will never change. Now, today we're celebrating you all in the front rows here, but as I mentioned, it takes a total team to get our students to this day, and I, for one, am super proud of the collective effort that it has taken to get Class 2506 here to graduation. Now, for the families, you might not know this, but we pour a ton of resources. Your nation pours a ton of resources into these men and women. In fact, that investment is well north of $1 million in every single one of them to turn them into the pilots that you see here today. But money alone can't do this. It's people. It's people that accomplish the mission and people that make the difference. This is a joint effort at Team Vance, over 2,600 airmen, government civilians, and contract partners that make up our team. Whether they're supporting, generating, or executing the flying mission, everybody at Team Vance has a vital role in making today happen. Now, there's 3 groups that I just quickly want to mention so that you all understand the work that they've done for this class. Although they're the least represented here today, the first group that I want to thank are our instructor pilots. These men and women have molded our graduates into professional aviators, and they truly deserve special thanks. Now, if you look around, you're not going to see many instructor pilots in this room at all. And, well, that's because there's no break for them. If you listen closely, you'll hear airplanes flying overhead. They've already moved on to molding the next generation of folks that are going to walk across this stage. So to all our instructor pilots, a round of applause. The second of people I'd like to thank is our outstanding team of professionals who maintain our aircraft. Now, as pilots, we're super, super good at braking airplanes. That's the easy part. But we have a team that does an absolutely incredible job of putting those jets back up in the air. Obviously, we have snow on the ground right now, right? The amount of work that it takes to clear that airfield, to get those jets ready to go back and fly is tremendous. People work around the clock, 24 hours a day, to make that happen. And we just have an amazing team of contractors, government civilians, and military who are critical to that mission. So I really want to thank our Amentum partners. I'm not sure if we have any in the room today, and our Air Force maintenance quality assurance teams. They make sure that every single day our 200 aircraft that we have here on station are ready to fly. So a round of applause for them. And last but certainly not least are the amazing men and women that make up our mission support, medical groups, and wing staff agencies. This includes a long list: defenders, services, finance, public affairs, civil engineering, personnel, dental, medical airmen. That's just a few of them. 2506, the wings that you're about to receive would not be possible with that group of men and women who provide that support and make our mission happen. And I'll tell you, they are just as proud of you as your parents are. We talk about this all the time. I go back to Lance again. We were talking the other day of how proud we are to be a part of this mission and see you graduate. So let's give a round of applause to those folks. (2506) on behalf of all of Team Vance, congratulations and welcome to the family of military aviators. It's an exciting day. Okay, so I told you at the beginning that I owed you an explanation of why I am up here on stage today. Well, and it's so that I could have the privilege of introducing you to our guest speaker, Colonel Abigail Kent, the Deputy Commander of the 914th Air Refueling Wing, Niagara Air Reserve Station, New York. Now, once upon a time, Lieutenant Kent and Lieutenant Miller were in pilot training together right here at Vance Air Force Base. Abby was in class 0213, and I was in class 0214, and we shared a flight room in Lima flight over in the T1 squadron. So think about that. Abby and I literally sat in those exact same seats that you're in, and they probably legitimately were the exact same seats, let's be honest. And now 22 and a half years later, here we are on stage together, and we're still the best of friends. These relationships that you have forged with your class can and will last a lifetime. And you can be darn sure that just like your parents are proud of you today and want to take a whole bunch of pictures, our moms are back there demanding at home that we send pictures of them. So that never changes, so get used to it. In her role as the Deputy Commander, Colonel Kent is responsible for providing combat-ready forces to the Joint Force, including a nuclear mission-ready tanker fleet. Previously, she has served as an Inspector General, the KC-135 Training Program Manager for Air Education Training Command, and most famously, she was in charge of the Air Force's Presidential Advance Agent Program, where she traveled the entire globe with the Obama, Trump, and Biden administrations, managing all aspects of Air Force One's movement, integrating with the White House and the Secret Service. Colonel Throckmorton and I, we were lucky enough to be agents in that program, but we absolutely were not cool enough to run the entire program like Abby did. She did the whole thing. We were just happy to be there, right? Colonel Kent is a 2000 graduate of the United States Air Force Academy, and she happens to be a classmate of our Operations Group Commander, Colonel Bissonette. It's a small world. She's a command pilot with over 6,500 hours in the C-21, KC-135, 757, and 767. And I'm just going to brag on my friend a little bit. I do okay with flying. I only have 4,100 hours. She has 2,400 more hours than I do. It's an impressive number. That's amazing. And by the way, she also happens to be an instructor pilot with Delta Airlines. She's pretty awesome. We're thrilled to have Colonel Kent here today to visit with Team Vance and share her insight and wisdom as a senior leader in our total force and as a distinguished alum of Vance Air Force Base. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce our guest speaker and one of my very best friends in the entire world, Colonel Abigail Kent.
Colonel Miller is always hard to follow. So here I go, and I believe this is maybe the second time I've had to do this behind him. What an honor. Colonel Throckmorton, thank you very much, sir, for having me. It's so special to be here, to see you and Brooke, and to go back, and we'll get there in a little bit. Thank you for the introduction, Colonel Miller. He touched on the emotions that come with sitting in these seats that you're all sitting in right now, and then the full circle life moment of coming all back here together with so many old friends. I'm going to do something that our new graduates aren't going to be terribly happy to hear. We're going to do one more mission briefing, guys. Really sorry. But today's mission and what we're here to accomplish is to graduate you and get wings on your shoulders, on your chest. And so the crew today that's in charge of doing that is everybody in this room. And so for the family and friends that we have in the room, I want you to hear what they've briefed every single time they've stepped to go fly in the last 6 months that they've been here at Vance. So we're going to get to it. We start any briefing with a general overview of what we're going to do, but and for the few instructor pilots that we have in the room, any instructor worth their weight in gold at all wants to know where you're coming from, how did the previous ride go, how was it? How are things going? So more to the point of what we have today is where are these graduates coming from today, and where have all of you come from? What kind of backgrounds do you have? We had a good time chatting outside, and we have some of those statistics. I love how far and how diverse you're all are. You're from every corner of the country and from around the world. We have 9 Air Force Academy graduates, and the rest of them went to college somewhere for real. A graduate from King Faisal Air Force Academy. Am I pronouncing that correct? Good, okay. We have 4 brethren of my own, Guard and Reserve. We've got 1 reservist. We have 4 citizen airmen sitting in these seats in front of you. And as one of your own, I understand the gravity that comes with that of you're gonna have 2 lives. And maybe you're committed to one here for a while, but I salute you and congratulate you and recognize what you're doing as citizen airmen. 3 prior service, is that right? 3 raised hands for the prior service. I met a couple of you. Congratulations on your commission. Thank you for what you've done, and I recognize that that's another leap that you've taken in your life to get here. And so congratulations and thank you for your continued service. So that's a little bit about this is who we're going to fly with today. This is what we're doing the mission with today. We also, one of the most important things that we talk about when we're coming to fly, and especially in the training world, is did we get good rest? And for as tired as your students have been over the last 6 months, and as tired as all of us get flying, we still make sure that we show up well rested. Today, since we're not going to touch any jets and we're not going to have hands on throttles, I'm not terribly worried about how well you slept. We started the day kind of early, but we'll party a little bit harder tonight, and we can go more than our 12 hours duty day if you guys so choose. We also do a time hack. I've got 55 after, so anybody can sit me down at 50 after I've been talking for 15 minutes, if that sounds fair. In the flying world, when we push out information, we have iPads now with pages and stacks of publications, regulations, rules, how we fly. Every now and then, there's special interest items that come out that need to get pushed quickly. We don't have a graceful way to just embed that in an 800-page document for our pilots to read before they go fly. But we have what we call read files or special interest items that we have our students sign off before they step to fly. That's kind of an urgent, you need to know this today for the operation and how we're operating our airplanes today. Maybe something has changed. Today's special interest item is the tenuous and heavy few weeks that we've had in the aviation community. It's been a stressful and hard time for all of us. There's been a lot of news. But what I want to tell you about, and this is our student pilots down here know this, our pilots, you're not even student pilots anymore. We all understand how well our community learns from mistakes, mishaps, and events. But I want to let the rest of the room know that we are exceptionally good in the aviation industry at learning from what's happened. We were really safe. This was an incredibly safe industry a month ago, and we are even safer today, and we're going to get exponentially more safe as we learn from what's happened recently. So please understand, it's been a very coincidental and terribly timed series of events lately in aviation, but we're safer and we're getting safer every single day. And that's our today's special interest item. We briefed the weather and the winds. Colonel Miller mentioned it's chilly. So we're not going to do too much outside events this weekend, but what I will wish for all of you is fair skies and trailing tailwinds for the rest of your careers. We talk about bird watch condition. As aviators, we're worried about migratory birds. We don't want to take one down the engine. Right now, nobody really cares about taking any birds down any engines today in this room, but there's enough 06s in the room that you can all be trying to avoid the 06s for the rest of the afternoon. So if you want to call that, or your bird watch condition, I'd say it's moderate for all of us 06s that are in the room. I promise we won't take any motors out. We talk about the overview of the flight today. We go over our call sign of the day. In the Air Force, there's two types of call signs. There's one that we use on the radio when we're communicating with air traffic control. Then there's the nicknames that we earn along the way that are more personal nicknames to us individually. I understand a couple nicknames have been earned in the class. I understand that we have Buster and Taz sitting down here, and that those have been recently named. And so I'll tell you a fun fact. Sometimes those names will stick and sometimes they won't. Once upon a time, there was a very, very young second lieutenant learning to fly a C-21, and she did a very, very solid, firm landing in that C-21, and her flying partner may or may not have tried to call her Admiral, and still does to this day, because of that Navy landing. Welcome aboard. Colonel Throckmorton's the only one that still calls me Admiral. And I love to hear from Buster and Taz if you guys end up keeping those call signs for the rest of your careers or not. The rest of you are going to go earn them or not down the road. But what a fun story and what a great time I had hearing about those. We have another call sign that we use in the flying world on the radio. This is Dragon Flight. Every flight that you guys have flown, Dragon call sign, right? $10 to anybody that doesn't mess up your next radio call in whatever airplane you are at. If you're at Little Rock, if you're down the road at Altus, if you're across the street here flying T-38s, I'd love to hear if somebody doesn't stumble over using that Dragon call sign. So congratulations on your last Dragon flight, and let's not try to say it on the radio next time you go fly. We talk about our bingo fuel and our joker fuel in the flying world. And for the rest of the crew here in the room, our joker fuel is when we're starting to run out of gas, we need to wrap up training, we need to get back to base. When you're in your car, maybe you've got a quarter tank left, you're starting to look for the next gas station, but maybe you don't have to take the next gas station. Bingo fuel is we're leaving, we're knocking off training right now, we're gonna come back to base right now. Bingo fuel in your car is gas lights on, there's only one gas station left, and you're not gonna go past it because you've only got maybe 5 more miles in the tank. What I want to translate that to all of you here today is to recognize that you have your own joker and bingo fuels in life. Learn to recognize in yourselves as aviators and as officers when you've got enough in the tank for one more. Also recognize when you've hit your limit and when you need to call knock it off, when you've hit your bingo fuel and you got to take a knee, and that's okay. For the rest of the crew here in the room, help them learn to recognize that and understand that you'll start seeing the signs of when maybe they're getting to their joker fuel, maybe they're getting to their bingo fuel, and you can help out along the way. We also talk about crunch points in the flight. And when I was sitting in this room, Colonel Miller and I were sitting across the street in the flight room together, I thought the hardest crunch point was going from the briefing to the bag drag to the jet, to the walk around to the pre-flight, to getting an engine started on time, to get airborne on time. And then as I became a tanker pilot, now I'm trying to get airborne on time to make my control time on time for my receivers. And I'm trying to do all of that while I'm sitting there at the briefing table. But we talk about our crunch points and how we're going to mitigate those. And so I'd tell myself, all right, Abby, maybe set an alarm to know that we need to be heading out the door at this time, whatever it is. We have crunch points in life too. We talked a little bit about it outside. We've got movers happening today. We have this week. You're going to bomb burst out into 23 different directions, essentially, in your lives and your careers. And a lot of you have a lot going on at home and in your career. This is a crunch point in life. The rest of the crew in the room, help them also recognize those crunch points in life. Sometimes we can do something about it, sometimes we can't. But understand and recognize them. Maybe it comes down to a timing and a priority. Maybe it means you take a knee again and just take a beat to get ready for that next crunch point in life. So understand, like we do in the jet, if you need to set the parking brake to get caught up, by all means do it. And if you can work your way through it, keep working your way through it. We talk about our ground ops. So now we've kind of talked about what we're going to do today in the flight, but then we're going to go to our ground operations. The most important things in aviation happen at ground speed 0, right? You're on terra firma, and that's when the flight starts. I understand this class is very good at getting the fuel door closed now. Is that right? Yep. So you guys are solid on that. But understand what an incredibly important lesson that you've just added to your aviation career with that. That's wisdom that it took me years to learn, to realize, do my ground ops steadily, thoroughly, and methodically. Keep that lesson and remember that as you go forward. And I'm glad that we have some smiles about that you can think about yourselves when you're doing your ground ops. As we brief for our flights, we talk about what kind of an ATC clearance we expect to get. So there's not going to be any more clear dog face north high anymore for you. Today I'll clear you further and farther than you've ever been cleared from here at Vance. I'll give you an unrestricted climb to as high as you want to climb. If you need a little IFR flight following along the way, we're all going to be here. You have leaders, you have mentors in the Air Force that will be here to help you out. If you want to go purely IFR and go on your instruments, we trust that you've learned how to navigate your way through the clouds even when you can't see through. We're going to have all kinds of departures. We mentioned that earlier. My gosh, 10 of you are going to go to Altus, right down the road. 3 of you to Little Rock. We have Offutt, Kirtland, and then a C-12 mix in the mix here. And then we have 7 of you. They're going to do a little pattern delay and stay here at Vance. So I salute you and I commend you on everywhere that you're going, but understand that you have this team that you started from. Even though you're going to depart the fix in all kinds of ways, understand that you still have this family that you can come back to. So after we talk about our ATC clearance, what kind of departure we expect, then we talk about what we're going to go out and do on the flight. So we're going to go out to the area, and this is where we learn how to navigate, maneuver, and learn the characteristics and the performance of the airplane that we're flying. So for your area work today, guys and gals, I offer you a hint of what we say with the serenity prayer, but for the rest of your careers. Understand that there are going to be things in your Air Force career, and I mean as aviators and as officers, that you're not going to be able to change. There will be things that are just beyond your grasp, and I charge and challenge you to recognize the times that you realize there's changes that are beyond your grasp. There will be times that we do need those changes from you at your level, and whether that level is today here, whether that level is the next rank or two, or whether that level is in the cockpit with your certain skill set, I offer and charge you with the courage to make those changes. And the hardest part that we learned from the Serenity Prayer is knowing the difference and having the wisdom to know the difference between I can make a change, I can't, and I need to deal with it. I think as I look back at my career, I've spent too much time, too often, trying to change things that were outside my wheelhouse or outside my realm. And I've learned over time that as you get promoted or as you get better at your craft, in your aircraft and as an officer, then all of a sudden you earn the responsibility to affect change at the right level. So I offer to you and suggest you change to recognize your level of change authority and focus your energy where you can truly affect it at the right time. That's what we're going to do out in the area. That's what they're going to do for their careers. But when they're done with the flight, we start talking about coming back and the recovery back to the base. Some of you, like we said, 7 of you are going to stay here and keep recovering back to Vance. Some of you will never touch base here again. Some of you will never set foot on Vance Air Force Base again, and that's okay too. But for the rest of the crew in the room, I offer and ask for you to help provide a nice landing and recovery home for them. Give them the support and they love that they need as they recover in life, on daily flights, and whether they're coming home to you or if you're a long-distance family member or friend, you can still provide a safe recovery for your pilots the rest of their careers. Crew coordination is one of my favorite, and I dare say most important topics of what we brief when we go to fly. Even in single-seat aircraft, crew coordination is imperative. We have maintainers that launch us. We have crew chiefs that take care of us to get us out the door. On a crew airplane, which most of you are going to go fly, we talk about whose responsibilities are whose got what duties in the flight, and who's going to be in charge of what throughout the flight. So let's talk about the duties that we've got. We have 3 parents. Who are the parents in the class here? Yep, 1, 2, 3. We'll talk about primary duty, right? Your parents, your fathers first and foremost. Are the kids in the room? Are your little ones? Can we wave the, yeah, there we go. Are there any other kids that dad's graduating? There we go. Yep. Recognize and understand what kind of duties your crew members are bringing with them to work every day, whether in the office or in the cockpit. And so I salute you and recognize the fact that being a parent during pilot training is an exceptionally challenging thing, and I commend the families that are taking care of the little ones during this hard year. But to the bigger point, know what those people have going on in the background and understand who you can rely on and why. And here's where I go with this and why I think this is the most important part of what we brief every day. You learn to lean on your crew, right? I learned 20-something years ago the people that I could rely on. Colonel Miller alluded to it and how many deep ties we have here, but I can tell you I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Colonel Bissonette our first 2 years at the Air Force Academy. I knew right away that he was one that I could lean on and trust and that got me through 2 of the hardest years of my life. Did I know that then sitting next to him? I knew I could lean on him right then and there. But you learn over time who the long-standing good people in your lives are and who the good crew members are on your crew. Colonel Throckmorton taught me how to fly the C-21. He wasn't the instructor necessarily, but he would get up in the seat after maybe I'd had a hard landing. It was firm. It was a firm landing. And he showed me how to fly the first airplane that he and I flew after we'd graduated pilot training. Colonel Miller and I have been co-pilots in life for a lot of things, and that continues to this day. And so where I go with that is to understand to lean on your crew, understand what they have going on, understand what they bring to the table, and know that you can lean on your crew, even if we've already talked about some of their other duties and responsibilities. Part of the crew coordination is radio responsibilities and who's talking on the radios and how communications are going to go for the flight. Call signs aside, keep the communications going. For the family in the room, we have a term that we use in the aviation community called NORDO, no radio. There are times that your pilots are going to feel like they've gone NORDO. Maybe they're quiet because it's a rough week. Maybe they're quiet because it's a busy week. Maybe they're quiet because they're just tired, and that's okay. But recognize when to maybe poke them and just ask if your son or daughter's doing okay, or if your best buddy from way back is doing okay. But understand that sometimes going no radio means everything is just fine, but they're just going through a lot. Mothers in the room, if you'd like to cover your ears for this portion, this is the abnormal procedures portion of the briefing. I'll tell you when you can uncover your ears here. There are going to be emergencies. There are going to be engine failures. There's going to be red master caution lights. There's going to be red master warning lights. You've already had 3. We've had a bird strike. We've had a chip detector, right? And that's the one that scares me the most in a turboprop. We've departed prepared surface, yes? My gosh. But where I go with this is that recognize that we've taught your sons and daughters and your pilots down here how to handle those emergencies and to navigate the unusual and unplanned circumstances. Trust and rely on your pilots that they have the tools to get themselves through that safely. We talk about the weather and beyond it being cold and the birdwatch condition with all the colonels. We talk about our instrument flying rules. And this is when we can't see outside and we have to rely on our instruments. Pilots, there's going to be times that you can't see the way through. You don't know which way to go. You don't know, in a way, which way is up. I'll challenge you again to rely on your instruments and stay focused, maintain aircraft control, and wait for signs and indications from your instruments. And for the rest of you in the room here, crew, you can be the instruments that they rely on when they need help to navigate their way through something unknown and uncertain. If you listen carefully, the rest of your crew here in the room will very generally give you some indications of which way to go and how to navigate that unknown weather. We have night procedures tonight, but that's all for fun, and that's okay. So we are indeed opted for mission flight tonight. I'm not worried about spatial disorientation or pattern procedures. The only restriction is that we'll celebrate well and safely as you deserve. And if we want to go past the 12-hour duty day, you're clear to do that. We have one alternate mission that I'll offer for you today. And so for the rest of the crew here in the room, maybe the weather drives us to have to go do something else. Is there an alternate mission that we can do and still accomplish if we're airborne? Here's the alternate mission that I want to offer for you in your careers. And again, this is as aviators and officers. You're all down here earning your 11 Air Force specialty code. You're all pilots. That does not mean that any of you are alike. It doesn't mean that your careers are going to be the same. And it doesn't mean that any of you have the same goals. And that's okay. I also want to let you know that your alternate mission can change throughout your career. Some of you might be starting a 20 or 30-year career of flying Air Force airplanes. Some of you might stick around for 10 years and decide you want to move on to something else, and that's okay. You can't always see the alternate mission coming, and that's okay as well. So keep an open mind, keep an open heart, even if you still keep the wings very close at heart. We finish up before we step to the airplane to remove all of our personal items. We take off our earrings, our rings, just to make sure that we're safe and we don't get anything caught in the cockpit. The most important personal item for today is the wings that we're about to pin on you. So I wish you a congratulations and how exciting. Understand the legacy that you're joining, and Colonel Miller addressed that for us earlier. So I congratulate you on your new jewelry that you get to wear proudly on every flight. I'll end it with personal items. I get to add a personal message. We talked about it outside a little bit. Tanker pilots, you're going to love that KC-135. She's a beast. She has a very long and storied history. It's not a young airplane. And for those of you in the room that want to Google a KC-135 to find out when those were designed and then built, I'll hear you laughing when you find out the dates. She has some incredibly important history in our past, and she's going to be very important as we go forward, and especially supporting the nuclear enterprise. She's going to fight hard for the coming years, and I'm excited to see how all of you handle that as KC-135 pilots. KC-46 guys, you can join me in this now, that nobody kicks ass without tanker gas. Thank you. For all of you, though, I want to quote one of my favorite quotes that Bizzo and I learned a long time ago. John Gillespie McGee Jr. wrote High Flight. And I'll steal this line from it. You're going to do 100 things you've not dreamed of. And I'm so incredibly proud of you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Colonel Kent. Captain Riley Connaughton from Class 2506 would like to present you with a small token of appreciation for being a part of this special occasion.
We will now recognize individuals who excelled in one or more phases of training. The new pilots competed for academic, leadership, and flying training awards, as well as top wingman, distinguished graduate, and the coveted AETC Commander's Trophy. Each phase of training was carefully weighed, and only a slight margin separated the top performers. Colonel DeLamba will present the Academic Excellence Award to the pilot whose overall academic test averages exceeded those of their peers. The recipient of the academic award is First Lieutenant Alexander W. Milham.
Congratulations. Well done. Come. Oh, yeah.
We'll wait.
Colonel Little will present the Leadership Award. The Leadership Award is presented to the officer who demonstrated outstanding leadership qualities and potential throughout this most rigorous and demanding military training program. The recipient of the Leadership Award is Captain Chloe A. Sventek. Great job.
Colonel Bissonnette will present the Flying Training Award. The Flying Training Award is presented to the pilot whose daily flying performance and check ride scores exceeded those of their peers. The recipient of the Flying Training Award is Second Lieutenant Joshua P. McConnell. Colonel Miller will present the Top Wingman Award. Selected by their peers, the Top Wingman Award is presented to the graduate who epitomized the support and teamwork critical to being a great wingman. The recipient of the Top Wingman Award is Second Lieutenant Ian M. Janiza. Colonel Miller will present the distinguished graduates. To be selected for this honor, a student must maintain an exceptionally high average in all phases of training and finish in the top 10% of the class. The first distinguished graduate is Second Lieutenant Joshua P. McConnell. The second distinguished graduate is Second Lieutenant William A. Rochefort.
Finally, the most prestigious trophy that Air Education and Training Command presents to a pilot training graduate is the AETC Commander's Trophy. This pilot excelled in both flying and academics and demonstrated the initiative and leadership qualities essential to the professional Air Force officer. Additionally, they personify the tenets of the Order of the Dedalians, a group dedicated to military aviation, personal integrity, and patriotism. Colonel Kent will present this special award reserved for the officer who attained the highest overall rating throughout their program. The winner of the ATC Commander's Trophy is Second Lieutenant Joshua P. McConnell. Well done. Patrick. At this time, Colonel Miller would like to recognize the instructor pilots selected by Class 2506 who most embodied the Air Force core values during the T6 training and provided exceptional mentorship and instruction. Colonel Miller will present the recipients with a plaque in recognition of their hard work. Receiving the award from the 33rd Flying Training Squadron, Captain Matthew Q. Breen. Receiving the second award from the 33rd Flying Training Squadron, First Lieutenant Liam K. Gray. Thank you. This concludes the awards portion of the ceremony. And now the time we've all been waiting for. Colonel Miller will formally present the diplomas and pilot wings to our graduates. As they exit the stage, they will receive a commemorative coin with their unique graduation number from the 71st Student Squadron Senior Enlisted Leader, Master Sergeant Aaron Withy. The new pilots, families, and friends are invited to pin on the Air Force wings following the graduation ceremony. Having completed the required course of training, the following officers from Class 2506 are awarded the aeronautical rating of Air Force Pilot. Captain Riley D. Connaughton. Well done.
Captain Chloe A. Sventek.
You did it. So proud of you. First Lieutenant Alexander W. Milham. Congratulations.
Second Lieutenant Mutlock Algetson.
Congratulations. Second Lieutenant Dennis L. Bloschke III. Well done.
Second Lieutenant Jaron M. Boswell.
Well done. Second Lieutenant Shad N. Bruce.
Second Lieutenant Jake J. Chaffetz.
Second Lieutenant Benjamin J. Dufashard. Did I get it right? Congratulations.
Second Lieutenant Brandon A. Gavino.
Congratulations. Second Lieutenant Ian M. Janiza. Congratulations. So proud of you.
Second Lieutenant Vincent L. Jaworski.
Second Lieutenant Khalil J. Jones. Well done.
Second Lieutenant Zachary T. Marine.
Congratulations. Second Lieutenant Joshua P. McConnell. Congratulations. We're proud of you.
Second Lieutenant Jonathan R. Nixon.
Congratulations. Second Lieutenant Garrett J. Quanti. Congratulations. We're proud of you.
Second Lieutenant Alexa G. Quilliam.
Congrats. Second Lieutenant William A. Rochefort. Congratulations.
Second Lieutenant Ian M. Scott.
Congratulations. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, happy birthday. Second Lieutenant Dylan R. Sinclair. Congratulations. We're proud of you.
Second Lieutenant Jeffrey M. Truey, Jr.
Well done. Congratulations. We're proud of you. Second Lieutenant Ryan P. Vasquez. We did it. Congrats.
Yeah, why not? Let's do it. Yeah. To complete today's ceremony, Colonel Miller will present Class 2506.